Namaste to all. Welcome. I think you can sit here because the computer is coming in the way. These two are okay. ॐ शन्नो मित्रशं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सहना भवतु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Audio okay? Yes?
Yes, Swami.
Asking them.
Yes, Swaminiji.
Okay. I'm sitting right in front of you, so it should be okay. All right. At least everybody is awake and alert, which is nice. This is the thing. Okay. So we are in this prana section. Okay. We are about to look at. See, we saw how the prana means the life force. Breath in particular, life force in general. That is the meaning of prana. Already you see that it has a kind of an amorphous quality to it. How? Because when we talk of Annamaya, the first one when we talked of bodies, and what are bodies made up of according to the Taittiriya Upanishad? Food, modification of food. If you say food, then if you eat a donut, it should immediately appear as a spare tire. It doesn't. It it takes a little time. One donut down, second donut down. After that, you see, but it's not exactly the donut sitting there. And the person eating lot of idlis doesn't look like a idli. Even if a person looks like an idli, it's not because they have been eating too many idlis. Okay. So that has a kind of an individual quality about it. Like, this is the food I eat and it's going to my body, and there is a kind of an I-ness which then gets transferred to the body, which is a mistake. Because body is indeed I, everything is Atma, everything is I am not just the body. This is where we have to go throughout. Then there is a kind of a forlorn feeling. I'm not the body, I'm not just the body, then what am I? And the provisional answer given is prana. It's not the ultimate answer. But the ultimate answer is what? You are Brahman. Are you ready to listen to that and say, yes, I am? No. So therefore there is a kind of an interim step-by-step process to go, to go to this understanding. I'm nothing but Bhagavan. I'm Ishvara. I'm the one with the source of the universe. That's kind of a far reach for the person who is still counting the idlis they ate. Okay. So you need something to hold on to. So if the person is given some bad news, like, you know what, you don't have, what is that? You did not get the uh, you did not get the lottery. Bad news. Okay, they bought the lottery ticket and then they did not get the lottery. Then, along with that, you give a little bit of good news. What is the good news? The good news is, don't worry, this week nobody got the lottery. Some something better, feeling that okay, at least I did not get, and next week it's going to double. So you don't just have millions, you have mega million. HEPA filter did we bring? Ah, okay, perfect. So then, so we got, so then there is hope. Okay, then we catch hold of. Then the person who is dejected that he or she did not win the lottery is hoping for the next month, next week, something like that, holding on to that. So, if the person who is disappointed by not getting the lottery is told, you know what, you are Brahman, why do you need to win the lottery? What you need is moksha. You know what that person will do? Give you moksha instantly from this life. Okay, and so therefore this is not so there is the Upanishad goes along with our step by step understanding, step by step. Why? Because this is where people are. This is what is happening. This is not something, people are not there yet. Even though people say, I know, I know this, I know this, I know this. And then you just ask them one question, why are you still crying if you know everything? Because the main lakshana means what? Characteristic of the jnani is no tears, no fears, and above all, no complaints. No complaints about what? Oneself, others, the Jagat, the world, and Ishvara, the source of the world, God, whatever is there. No complaints about any of those things. That is the hallmark. So here the person is told you are not the sum total of anna rasamaya, the food that you eat, the modification of that which is in the form of this body. You are not this body. Then what are you? The answer, the provisional answer is given. What is that provisional answer? Prana. Prana means it's air outside. Prana, as soon as you inhale, the air somehow miraculously gets converted into prana, into that life giving force. It gets a new epithet. Prana, it gets. Very, very interesting. Gets a new epithet, a new function, a new form. And now you see how the body is gross, right? I know where I end and I know where you begin. There is no confusion about that. But the air that we share, that is why Corona has done a 3-year course. Okay, yeah. Intensive 3-year course it is doing. That's why the air that we share, you cannot say this is my air. Stay out of my air, unless of course you're wearing a mask and breathing your lunch all the time. So, so other than that, the air that we share is much more diffuse. Diffuse, technically speaking, according to the Sanskrit language, is what? Pervasive, vyapaka, pervasive, aparichinna, unlimited, vyapaka. Because the bodies, we know exactly where each body ends and the other one begins. But the air that we share, the vayu, which then goes in any pair of nostrils, is turned into prana. And even though there is a my prana, not your prana, it's kind of silly to fight over it. Prana is prana. And then there is more of an identification with the general prana of everybody rather than the general body of everybody. So if you think of what it feels like to cut a thumb while chopping vegetables. You know what it feels like when somebody else is also cutting something, while they are chopping vegetables. But you feel that more through an empathy and a juxtaposition. Oh, it was so painful for me. So, similarly, when they chop off a portion of their finger, it must be painful for them also. There is more of an extrapolation, and it's a logical, logical thing. But so the empathy that one feels if somebody has a cut and they are struggling to put a band-aid on it and it's bleeding and they're trying to stop the bleeding is a very different kind of an empathy that you feel when you see somebody struggling to breathe. When you see somebody struggling to breathe, it is very, very clear. Oh, I can be in that position. It is just terrible. It is horrible. You can't stand it. So that shows that it is much more pervasive. That which is more pervasive pervades over that which is less pervasive. This is the logic. So like for example, if you take ice, like a ice cube occupies a little space in that particular time. But then you leave the ice cube over the counter and then come back 1 hour later. What has happened? More pervasive. Is the ice cube covered only, let's say it was half an inch. So half an inch square on the kitchen counter. Then you came back half an hour later. What happened? It is covering much more. Then you put one heater on it. Water vapor it turns and then it covers much more. So that which is more pervasive includes that which is less pervasive. And that is the logic here in all the koshas, in all the various kosha means the places where I make the mistake, the various loci of error. That is what is called kosha. And so that is basically what we are studying right now. And then we found that the prana pervades the body. Now you know why. Prana pervades the body because prana is subtle, body is gross. That which is subtle is more pervasive than that which is gross. Simple logic. Okay. Now the text says a few things. Just like we were called to transcend the body in the Annamaya Kosha discussion. In the previous discussion, we were asked to transcend the body and then do what? Do Virat Upasana. Upasana means think about all the bodies and nourished by the food, and then think about the food itself that is in the form of that which nourishes, and then that which nourishes is non-separate from the agent, the nourisher, and so that is the fact that the food nourishes this body is called Virat. That is Bhagavan, Ishvara, the whole, the source in the form of Virat. The gross food, when you look upon it, it's the cause of life. It's the cause of all bodies. No body can sustain itself without food. Nobody can be alive without food. Nobody and nobody. And so therefore, that food, when it is looked at from the totality, from the samashti perspective, then standpoint, we get Ishvara, we get an iteration of God in the form of the one who nourishes all beings. Then it becomes an upasana. That helps to overcome all food issues and addictions, because here you are looking at food from the total, from the point of view that is from a standpoint that is total. So the same thing is going to be done for prana also. And this is what we will look at now. And this is the, but before that, just to catch up a little bit, the bird analogy was set up for the prana, the discussion of the prana. And
What happened to your tape? Your tape. You lost it?
keep your camera on and your voice muted. Okay, yeah. So then we have so we have a bird metaphor that is going around. And what is this bird metaphor, and why is this bird metaphor important? We have gone through it many, many times, and so I don't think there is any reason to look at that. And so the bird metaphor is just to visualize something like prana, which is so diffuse. How to visualize this prana? And so the prana has many components. Prana, even though it's called prana, has many components. The first one is prana, respiration. And then what else is there? Vyana, circulation. Then apana, elimination.
Udana,
Udana, that is the one that takes away all the pranas. And then one more we are forgetting. Samana,
Saman.
Samana, digestion. So these are all processes over which we have no control. The prana is doing it all. You don't eat with the idea that I'm going to now enter my stomach and digest the food. You don't do that. It's just happening. That's why even after some, in some European countries, people eat at 10 o'clock at night. And the tables will be still outside. 10 o'clock they start to eat, and then they finish eating at 11 and then go straight to bed. Then what happens? Still somehow it gets digested. This is in the summer months, okay, not in winter. In winter that's not possible. But in the summer months, if you go especially along the Mediterranean and countries, Mediterranean countries, you see that. You see that the restaurant people start putting the tables and the chairs out at 8 o'clock. Then by 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock also some people come, but then it's really busy by 10. And then, and then people go home and presumably they go to sleep. But then food gets digested. Miracle. Because samana vayu is there. And then it circulates, it gets digested, it does that because you are not in charge of it. It is prana, and the same prana is like prana means what? It's not some random molecules called air. It has nothing to do with air now that you have breathed it in, and this prana has many, many components. And so therefore, what is it? It is Bhagavan, Ishvara. That Ishvara in the form of prana, modified as though modified in the form of prana, is doing all these things. And then that is what we should understand. And then leaving this food body as, the I is equal to food body, that delusion one has to get out of. And so the Upanishad encourages another kind of an identification. And what is this interim identification? Not a total identification, an interim identification. What is the interim identification? Prana. And what is this prana? Prana, first you say this is prana is Atma. That is the first identification. A provisional identification. But Atma is not prana. That is the main thing. And so now the Upanishad also has a little meditation upon prana. And the meditation upon prana, what does it do? It again understands that, it makes us understand that this prana is not something individual, just me breathing and digesting my food. There is something universal about this prana. When you see the universal, it becomes a manifestation of Bhagavan fit for meditation. So then this is what the Upanishad says. This is the Mula Vakya. This is what the Upanishad says about that. Pranan deva anuprananti manushya pashavascha ye prano hi bhuta namayuhu tasmaat sarvayushamuchyate sarvamevata ayuryanti ye pranam brahmopasate prano hi bhuta namayuhu tasmat sarvayushamuchyata iti तस्यैष एव शारीर आत्मा यः पूर्वस्य तस्माद्वा एतस्मात् प्राणमयात्. So this is the section that talks about the prana as not being my individual prana. The individual prana was already talked about with the help of this bird analogy. And what was the bird? Prana eva shiraha. The prana was the head of this mythical imaginary bird. Vyanaha dakshinah pakshaha, apana uttarah pakshaha. And then so the two wings, and then samana atma, that digestion was the trunk of it, and then prithivi pucham pratishtha. The earth was the tail of this bird. Why earth? Because of that beautiful polarity between air element and the earth element. The air element, even including in our bodies, goes up. Yeah, it's light. It just goes up, up, up. And then what happens? The gravitational force pulls it down. So the Vayu's tendency is to go up and go everywhere. And then if the earth were not there along with her beautiful gravitational force, we would all be floating somewhere. Vayu would have taken over. And so if we tried to have this class, everybody, we would have had to hold on to their phones and computers very, very hard. Forget in-person class. In-person class, you would have to hold on to each other and the books and everything. And then you'd be just floating somewhere. But the Prithvi, the Devi, the Mother Earth, the goddess, in the form of the earth, the Shakti, has a downward pull. And because of this pull, you have stability. You can walk. Even though the Vayu is going, and out of all the 5 pranas, one of them is Udana Vayu. What is Udana Vayu? The one that takes all the others and flies away at the end of life. Udana is just a timekeeper. It has a little counting thing. It counts. What does it count? Number of breaths, not years. It counts the numbers of breaths that are there, and then it flies away along with the other 4 pranas. What keeps it from flying away beforehand, before its time? It is the downward Shakti, the gross Shakti of the earth in the form of the gravitational force. And so there is a very interesting polarity between earth and air, and that's why Prithvi Pucham Pratishtha, the earth is the tail of this mythical bird. Very beautiful, see. And so now after that we then look at this particular verse which we are in the middle of. Pranam deva anuprananti manushyaha pashavascha ye. And then so pranam deva anuprananti iti adi uktam. Iti adi uktam. This was already said before. How? Because this was already said in the beginning of the discussion of the Pranamaya Kosha. Pranaha hi yasmat bhutanam praninam ayuhu jivanam. So pranaha hi yasmat means because. Because bhutanam, for all the beings, praninam, all the things that breathe, ayuhu means life, jivanam. This is, you don't need the Upanishad to say this. You know that if you hold your breath, after a while you can't hold your breath. This, the Upanishad does not come and do this, So prana here is mukhya prana, like the breathing is talked about, the others are not talked about so much. So mukhya prana means the respiration. Pranameva devaha anuprananti. Devaha here doesn't mean gods. Devaha means indriyas. the sense organs. The sense organs benefit because of this force of life. So the sense organs come alive and do all their activities because of this prana. If the prana were not there, then the indriyas will not work. Which is why a dead person's eyes, even though they may be open, they do not see. That's why you go like this and say, okay, gone. There's no, or they you shine the light and there is no reactivity to light. The pupil does not move. And they say, alas, okay, gone. And so, like this, they all do their activities. They depend entirely on prana. Anuprananti. Anuprananti means they go in accordance with the prana's directions. So ityadi uktam. Kasmat, how? Because prano hi bhutanam ayuhu. Ayuhu means what? Life. So the prana is the life of all beings. Without prana, there is no sense organs activity, and the hands and legs also don't move. Unless you're talking of some reflexes that happen after death, that's a different thing. But they don't move according to volition. So that is dependent on prana. Brain is dependent on prana. If the brain is deprived of prana, prana here means the breathing, oxygen, all these things. If the brain is deprived of prana, immediately brain death takes place. And so brain cannot be deprived of prana for more than a few minutes. And so therefore, prana hi bhutanam praninam ayuhu. The life force, that is why it is called life force, because without prana it is impossible to subsist, it is impossible. And so then the prano he, the he doesn't mean he she here, it's a Sanskrit word. What does he mean? He means indeed. Indeed means prasiddham idam. This is already known. You don't have to open the pages of an Upanishad to find out, am I living by prana or not? I want Upanishadic proof. You don't need Upanishadic proof. That you are able to open the pages of the Upanishad to look for proof is itself proof. Of what? That you are breathing, that you are alive. So you don't need to look for any other proof. That's the beauty of studying the commentary and all the tika, everything, because there they will tell you that he is prasiddhi. Prasiddhi means it's already established. Adi Shankara is saying this is already known, and the Upanishad is saying we are not giving new information. And if you are able to read this, that means you are alive, and you know that you are alive. So then he means because it is well known to us. So the very living is due to life, and due to the very living of this life is due to prana alone. And then this is not something the Shruti is saying as a means of knowledge, but it is just indicating something, that as long as the person is alive, there is breathing, and because of this breathing, there is hunger, thirst, etc. And once the breath is gone, there is nothing left. And even the digestion, everything depends on this mukhya prana, which is respiration. And the Shruti also says the same thing. There is a quotation here. And what is that quotation? Yavad yasmin sharire pranaha vasati tavadeva ayuhu. This is Kaushitaki Upanishad quotation. Yavat means until yasmin sharire, in whichever body the prana remains, then until then the life is on, life goes on. And then what? That is from the Kaushitaki Upanishad, but again it is Anubada. It's a restatement. It is not an original statement. It is not something that you don't know. Okay? And the other Shruti also says the same thing. The Shruti itself is restating what one already knows. All right. And so Adi Shankara also is restating a Shruti which already we know. And then therefore what? So here, therefore it is said, Tasmat, therefore, Sarvayusham, Sarvesham Ayuhu, Sarvayuhu, Sarvayureva, Sarvayusham iti Uchyate. So the Tasmat means therefore, the prana is called Sarvayusham, the life of all. It's not just I am breathing and I am alive. Everything that breathes, including cockroaches which breathe through their sides, even they are alive. Yeah. Apparently they breathe through their sides. Yeah, and there is this particular variety called Brazilian hissing cockroaches. It's not that they are exactly. It's not that they are hissing, but they are just breathing. But since they are so big, each one is a good 5-6 inches long, and since they are so big, and when they breathe, apparently from their sides, they make a hissing sound. Yeah, hissing sound, noise they make. Okay. So what does this mean? This means that there is breathing happening. Yeah, it is alive. And of course, everybody says it's out to get me. So, so it's not just for my body, it's everything. Everybody, it is that's why it's called sarva. Sarva means what? All. Sarva means all. So it is sarvayusham. Everyone's lifespan depends on prana, not just your own lifespan, but everybody's lifespan depends on this prana alone. Sarvayusham uchyate, it is said. This also we know. But it is iterated here with a kind of with an understanding that this is where we need to go, and this is what we need to understand. We need to have this understanding. Like this we should it is being reiterated. And then Tasmat Sarvayusham Uchyate. And also the other reason it's being reiterated is because the Upanishad is going to take you somewhere where we have not gone before. And where is that? To see the source of prana as Bhagavan, to Ishvarize the prana itself. So first we Ishvarize the food, which then the modification of which becomes this body. So the body is Ishvarized, and if this body is Ishvarized, all bodies undergo Ishvarification. And then after that what? Then you see Virat, Ishvara in the form of Virat. Virat means the one that is in the form of that which nourishes every body. Now we are doing this on a little more subtle level because we have left that particular discussion to come to something a little more pervasive than that. Like see, from ice cube to water, like that. So the prana is much more pervasive than the body. So we are discussing prana now, and then again we transcend the individual prana, say a few people or even cockroaches breathing, to looking at the order which is prana itself. That is what the whole idea is. Why? For the sake of upasana, for the sake of meditation. So with regard to the food section, Annamaya Kosha, we had a upasana. What is upasana? Meditation. What was the meditation? I am this body is because of the food. And food is Ishvara, like this, that meditation was there. What was the fruit of that meditation? Yeah, you will never be short of food. Food will come in all different directions. As soon as people see you, they want to feed you. Yeah. They say, here, take this food. Money may not come, but food will definitely come. Who wants money? It's overrated anyway. So if food is there, then that money is automatically taken care of, because that's like the biggest expense. Food is there. Then, perhaps if is there extra food, especially in olden days, you could convince your landlord to take the rent in food. In the olden days, that's how it was. Give a few things of paddy, a few chickens, and then the monthly rent was taken care of. And so Food is very primordial, and so a foodie who does upasana is who does the meditate. Well, if you meditate upon food as Ishvara, then what happens? You are never wanting of food. So, if in your life you find yourself surrounded by food, you must have done this meditation in a previous life. That's the only explanation. Okay. And if you say, no, no, I'm not surrounded by food, don't worry, do the meditation now. Yeah, don't worry about it at all. And so then this one is a similar thing now. A similar upasana is being given here, and what is that upasana? That upasana is the prana upasana, similar one with regard to prana. First, we understand that prana is not just me alone, it is everybody. And then we are not talking of individual bodies, we are talking of just the order that is prana. And wherever you talk of order, there is the presence of Ishvara and there is Bhagavan. And so that is what is the universality. And here the universality is expressed how? In the form of anyone's lifespan. From a small house fly, it too must be breathing. But they say it survives only one day. They lie. It survives more than one day, especially if it's trapped in the house. You see it for many days. Okay. So from a small house fly to a huge elephant, everything is breathing, and then that is called sadharana. Sadharana means the universal. So Sarvesham Ayuhu, Sarvayuhu. The Adi Shankara breaks it up for us. Sarvesham Ayuhu, that which is the Ayu of all, the life of all, Sarvayuhu. And then Sarvesham Ayuhu, this is the longevity for all. Then Sarvayusham, Sarvayuhu Eva Sarvayusham. Swarthe means it's in its own sense. Sarvayu is Sarvayusham, no special meaning. It's the life of all. Swarthe, some pratyaya is there. So Sarvayuhu. And then this. So why is it called the life of all? He gives a very interesting reason. Prana apagame marana prasiddhehe. Because it is noted, I mean, here he is just trolling us, Adi Shankara. It is noted, he says, that when the prana departs, death arrives. This we already know, but he is just making it a little more clear. And so that is what it is. So prasiddhi means it is well known that when the prana goes away, death comes. Prasiddham hi loke sarvayushtvam pranasya. Sarvayushtvam means sarvayuhu plus tvam, sarvayushtvam, because of the sandhi. Okay. So sarvayushtvam means that the prana is there for all the bodies and all the lives. Iti prasiddham. This is well known. This is very, very well known. And why is it well known? It is very well known because it is observed. It is observed. It is the life of all. It is the life of all, and it is the everybody's, everybody is there, and who is breathing, who has a lifespan, and all the lifespan together. It's not random. It's already assigned. It's not random. It's already assigned. Why? Because there is the order of life span interacts with another order, which is the karmic order. So karma of a animal's life, like a dog's life, 20 years maximum. Much less than that, sometimes 15 to 20 years. Same thing, dog, cat, like that. Then if you look for bear, bear is longer lived. 50 years maybe. Why? Because it hibernates. It hibernates. And when it hibernates, it goes into some kind of a sleep mode, like the computer, does not use any energy, does not wear out its organs by eating constantly. And then turtle, yeah, we wear ourselves out by eating constantly. The less you eat, the longer you live. But then, and then you have a longing. The longer you live, you have a longing. Oh, I'm living so long, but I'm not getting to eat. So, so I suppose it goes off in the wash. But then the turtle lives for 100 years. Same thing. It will just one lettuce leaf. It will just keep on, keep on. That is its food for like 2 days. And then after that, it stops eating until that gets completely digested. And then sometimes it hibernates and goes inside the shell. The turtle is like a hermit. It just goes, it's like a sadhu. Goes in the cave, does not eat, and maybe lives on little root, fruit, something, once in a while, and then lives long time, 100 years. So there is an interaction of the order of the prana with the karmic order. Bhagavan, it's all Bhagavan. So the Bhagavan is not the one who is mandating the orders, but who is manifest in the form of these various orders. That same intelligence, that all knowledge is manifest as the karma. So then this is general collective karma. That a turtle survives for an average of 100 years is common to all turtles. Tortoises, that same jati. But then there is individual karma as well. So there is an individual karma. So sometimes they will say, so the dog's lifespan is generally 20 years. But then there is always the Guinness Book of World Records, where there is a 30-year-old dog photo there. It didn't receive the prize, the owner received the prize. The dog could care less. And same thing, the oldest human being, 115 years, Guinness Book of World Records. That's always the shortest record held, because as soon as they get the record, they may just go soon after that. So like this, there are interactions with the different orders. The karmic order interacts with the pranic, we can call it that, order, and then that is on a general level, and individually also each lifespan has some kind of a karma, and it's influenced by the karma, etc., etc. And that's what it is. So that's why it is sarva. So we are not looking at individual karma, we are looking at sarvayushtvam. We are looking at the fact that everybody has a lifespan. That is what we are looking at. And then further he says the following. Okay. अतः अस्मात् बाह्यात् असाधारणात् अन्नमयात् आत्मनः उपक्रम्य अन्तः साधारणं प्राणमयात्मानं ब्रह्म उपासते ये अहमस्मि प्राणः सर्वभूतानाम् आत्मा आयुः जीवनहेतुत्वात् इति ते सर्वमेव आयुः अस्मिन् लोके यन्ति न अपमृत्युना म्रियन्ते प्राक् प्राप्तात् आयुषः इत्यर्थः. Beautiful discussion. This is very, very nice. I mean, he finished it in 2 sentences, but we'll be here for the rest of the class. Okay. So here, ataha means right here in this discussion. Asmat bahyat means drishti gocharat. That which is external to the prana. What is external to the prana? Annamayat. Annamayat bahya. Asmat bahyat annamayat. That which is external to the prana means what? Asadharanat. Means all it's trying to say is that there is there is no the vayu, the order of vayu / prana pervades the annamaya. That's all he's trying to say. So the body very quickly to say idantaya grihitat means this body. It's very quickly we can objectify a body, one's own body, and as well as the body of another. It's very easy to objectify. And then, yeah, but then what is in between two bodies? Vayu, all pervasive. Because everybody is in Vayu, so to speak, air. Vayu Mandala. I breathe in, you also breathe in. I breathe out, you also breathe out. Because Vayu cannot be divided. I cannot tell you, shoo, this much is my air. You see, I have built a wall here and the rest of it is your air. You cannot do that. Oh, but what if I have the mask on? If you have the mask on, also you are getting Vayu from outside. Otherwise, you won't be alive. Nobody would be alive. So there is nothing that divides Vayu. Vayu is sans division. And so therefore it is much more diffuse. It is aparichinna. The atmosphere where there is air is what you become, what you breathe in, which becomes prana, which becomes adhyatmika, your own vayu, etc. It is no longer air, it becomes a life-giving principle. It is converted to prana. But then when you breathe out, it is back air again, polluted air, carbon dioxide. See, that's what we know how to do. We take. We just take from the universe and give out all the pollutants and keep taking and oxygenating our bodies, our blood, and our cells. This is what it is. So then the Vayu Mandala is not divided, but Annamaya is Parichinna, because I can say this is where I end. I want my space. You go sit there. I can tell you that. Why? Because I can say this is my space. You can even pay for space. Okay? Now, but even if you pay for air, like I hear that there are oxygen bars, you can go and breathe oxygen, pure oxygen somewhere. You can somehow but you don't pay for. You technically you pay for the air, but actually you pay for the can of air that is there. And so like this, or if you go to some high areas, if you go to places in Tibet or even in Ladakh in North India near the border, some of the monasteries are 14,000 feet above sea level. If you look at them, then you have to go first to a chiropractor. Already in Ladakh, which is several thousand feet above sea level, the air is quite rare. You're literally fighting for the prana. Then, when I was there, I trekked to this 14,000 feet monastery. And then the monks were just going about their business as though nothing was happening, as though it was just another normal day. They are milking the goats, they are doing something, they are preparing for the evening meditation, they are cooking, they are cleaning, they are doing all these things. And then when we arrived there, we thought we were just about to meet Bhagavan, truly. It was just, it was really, you could feel that the air is so almost non-existent. You had to breathe really hard. And then if you breathed a lot, then you could get a little bit of oxygen. That was the feeling. And then afterwards we had so many questions, and then like fools we were asking them all these questions, and they would just respond by the nod of the head or no, or they would point. And then I said, oh, are you I didn't say that. Somebody who took us there said that, oh, they must be having a vow of silence today. They said, no, we're not having a vow of silence. Then why aren't you talking? We are conserving energy. Otherwise we'll be out of breath. Then we said, okay, we should stop talking. And I think we should just be. And it was much easier. Once we stopped talking amongst ourselves, like, oh, look at this, look at that, and look at all these things, because they took us to the library, they took us to some wonderful places, and the buildings were very nice. and how they shielded the heat was wonderful. We went to see a couple of caves, all these things. And so, and then if you don't talk, you could walk. If you did not talk, you could eat. It was amazing, all the things you could do when you did not talk, and just kept on, creating new forms of air hunger. And then that's how they have got acclimatized, because they move very, very slowly and they don't talk. And it's nice, because if you don't talk, there is no disagreement. It's wonderful. Yeah. So like this. So now this is what is asadharana. Asadharana means without prana you cannot live. That is what it is. It is much more pervasive, and that is the unique, peculiar, specific quality about that, is that it is not as localized as the body. That is what the idea is. So then, but then what happens? In the Annamaya, there is Atma Buddhi, Dehatma Buddhi. I am as good as the body, Iti Buddhi is there. Correct? And that's why one is walked, I am as good as the body. This Buddhi is not good, because you are not as good as the body, you are much more than this body. And then if anybody were to tell you, you are Brahman incarnate, you will just not believe it, because there is so much resistance. And or there will be a dejection. How will I ever know in this life that I am Brahman? Not possible. Oh, so sad. So then there is an interim holding place on the way to Brahman. And what is that place? You are you are prana. I am prana. No, no, no. Prana is you, but you are not prana, because anyontara atma manomaya. Another atma is there. That is the realm of the mind, universal mind. Again, and that will come to later, but this is where it is heading. You can see. So right now the provisional understanding is that this is atma, this is atma, etc., etc., like this we say. And then so we have see, it's very interesting, because nobody thinks that food is I. Does anybody say bhojano ham? No, nobody says I am food. Food means outside. But as soon as you take it in, immediately you say, I have put on weight because I ate fried food, I ate donut, I ate a cake, and so I have put on weight. So the Atma Buddhi, the I Buddhi is not in the food as long as it's outside, there sitting on a plate. But as soon as it becomes one with the body, as soon as it attains oneness with the body, the feeling, I am as good as the food I eat, there is a wrong identification with food as I. Food has now become the body, and then, it is, as long as it's outside, it is anatma. But as long as it's taken in, it is aham asmi. This is the problem, okay? And so that's why here anyontara atma, anyaha antaraha. So another atma is there. And what is that? This is the pranamaya. Pranamaya. At this level, the pranamaya is the mukhya atma, and then therefore what? This is the deha has got atma, the deha has got existence because of prana. Now I'm getting to a higher level. Higher means more diffuse, more pervasive. But then the pranamaya has its own problem, because I can observe the prana, that also goes away. And then after that, manomaya, all these are going and coming, aane wala, jaane wala, the ones that go and come. And therefore, this is all mithya. And then, but on the way to understanding this Brahman, this is what becomes important to hold on to. For right now, it's a provisional understanding. So therefore he says, Tasmin apakramanam. Here, Atmatma Buddhi Parityagaha apakramanam. So apakramanam means giving up. Giving up the I notion. Where? In the deha. And then it helps to give up the I notion in the body and say, okay, prana. Then again, prana is not just the what I breathe. It is Hiranyagarbha. It is Ishvara in a subtle form. Sutratma, that which strings everything together. All the breathing beings are pearls, and the string is the prana. How nice! So you can make so many designs of the necklace. You can have a few plants, and then you can have a few reptiles, and then you can have a few human beings, and then you can have all these various things are just uh, strung together by the order which is prana. And when you see prana as the order, it is universal, sadharana. That is why it is pranamaya. It's a modification of prana. It is hiranyagarbha, Ishvara in a subtle form. And in the first section, what did we see? Ishvara in the form of Virat, in the gross form. Here, it's the order of prana, Hiranyagarbha. And the Hiranyagarbha is not just prana. It includes Manomaya, Vijnanamaya. We'll see this, but now we are entering the subtle realm. So, pranamaye brahma buddhim kuryat, meaning make your orientation now that I am included in this Ishvara, which is in the form of the order that keeps all the beings, including this body, alive. That is how to look at it. And here itself we say Vayu is Brahman. We have seen that. Tvameva pratyaksham Brahmasmi. Yeah. And you are Brahman in the most direct form that I can even objectify. Brahman cannot be objectified because it is myself alone, but you are Brahman in the form that I can objectify, in the form of Vayu, which is everywhere. Brahman is everywhere. This is what it was already said. So the prana also is is everywhere. It is Sutratma. It is that which connects the whole universe, which is so diverse, which has nothing in common with one another. It is all connected together by prana. This is very, very beautiful. And then here is where the prayer comes, the mental prayer, the meditation on prana. And here he even tells us how to do it. So, ye upasate, those who do this meditation. Kasmat, how? Ahamasmi pranaha. Ayam pranaha ahamasmi. I am that prana. What kind of prana? Sarva bhutanam ayuhu. I am prana, but which is the life force of every being. I am the life of all the beings. I am the prana, which is the life of all beings. So I thought this life was my life and it was so many years, but no, this life may be my life, but I am life without the boundaries because I am the life of all beings. And this is prana as Brahman, upasana. So you are appreciating this prana, this vyashtigata prana. Vyashtigata prana means this prana in your own body you are appreciating, and you are transcending it to samashti prana, that is sarvatma. You are appreciating how the prana makes your body alive and gives you a lifespan. And then you are also appreciating what? All the other bodies and the prana as a force. Whenever you talk of force, it is Ishvara. So upon this prana is superimposed Ishvara. Prana is Ishvara. Ishvara is not prana. Ishvara is much more than prana. So upon this prana is superimposed the understanding that it is Ishvara. So just like you can take some object and say this is sacred. Why? Because it bears the insignia of Vishnu. Like you can say that. So it's not that you are worshipping the shell. You're not worshipping the shell. You're invoking Vishnu in that object which is not Vishnu. So prana is, Ishvara is not prana, but you are using prana to understand that force, that invisible, not easily objectifiable force in the universe, which makes everything alive and which keeps everything alive for as long a time as it is allotted for each particular incarnation in the universe. So this becomes prana upasana. Prana upasana means meditation upon prana. Then what happens to those meditators? What is your guess? What is the phala? What is the result of this upasana? Hmm? Yeah, lives for a very long time. Very long time doesn't mean forever, okay? Lives out one's whole lifespan. Lives out the lifespan. So human being means supposedly 100 years is the lifespan. So Adi Shankara lived only for 32 years, sadly. And some people suddenly die without any reason that we know of. And sometimes people don't live the whole 100 years because we are very good at abusing our bodies. We don't take care of ourselves. Ishvara has given this body, but we don't take care of ourselves. We are careless. We put all kinds of food inside. Even though I know very well, even though one knows very well, this is inimical, this body doesn't like this particular thing. And then, with a vengeance, you eat two of those things. Right? This is what we do. And then certain activities we know are dangerous. Certain activities are dangerous, we know that as well. But does that stop us from doing it? No, we will do it. Very dangerous sports, extreme sports. Like what is that? That one motorcycle thing is there. Some, huh? No, that was not. That is nothing. There is one more where you in India there is one show where they take the motorcycle in a circle like this. Don't ask me how. And I haven't watched it, but I've heard that it is there. And they take it around like this, and then many people, it just goes up in flames sometimes. You just cannot even tell. So these are all dangerous, very difficult sports. And then, but there is a thrill. You may be good at it, okay. You're doing that because you're good at it, but it gives a certain thrill. What is the thrill? I'm conquering gravity. Gravity has the last word. Prithvi says, Mother Goddess Earth says, you will come to me, don't worry. 6 feet under, everybody will come. Do whatever you want. Thank you, all these things. And then what is that? Some other very extreme sports. Cliff climbing. And then sometimes they're not sports because people like the view. And what is the view? I want to take a selfie. Where? At the edge of this cliff. I have gone with my family to bid goodbye. That's why I have gone. At the edge of the cliff. We want to take a selfie because there is this view, nobody else. There's some challenge, some thrill. And so we abuse our bodies in many, many ways. And then we know that we are not like owls, nocturnal. But then we just don't sleep when we are supposed to sleep. We don't wake up when we are supposed to wake up. All of these are the ways in which we abuse our bodies. And then so like this, nobody lives to 100. Very, very few people live to 100, alas. By the time one is, 80 years old, all the original body parts are replaced. Teeth are not real teeth. And then knees are not real knees. Hips are not real hips. And then so many things. Everything has been, whatever is replaceable has been replaced by the time one is 80, 85. And still somehow one goes on. because all the surgeries would not have gone on well. Why? Karma. Okay. So one knee is okay, the another knee is still is talking like this, it will be there. And so we don't take care of our bodies, and we don't eat what we are supposed to eat. And that is why the even though the Upanishad says the human being has been allotted a lifespan of 100 years, we don't often see that because of these kinds of behaviors. We don't see that. And then so this becomes an upasana. And so when you do this upasana, this prana is the life of all beings, including this body. Like this, when you see that it is jivana hetu, this upasana means it is the cause of life. This prana is Brahman, it's the cause of life. Like this, aham pranamayaha atma, if I say like this, then what happens? Apamrityuna namriyate. Apamrityu means untimely death. Apamrityuna, through untimely death, the person's life does not come to an end. Meaning, we live as long as is possible. See, as long as is possible means, the brain should be functioning. What's the point of having a body and being in permanently vegetative state and living for 100 years? That's not correct. Brain is also part of the body. Mind must be functioning, brain must be functioning, body must be functioning. In fact, if most of us had to choose, we would choose even if one cannot move around. Oh
We
Lord,
both went. And then again, I have pictures in that park. And after that, I walked with Judy Muri.
so let the brain be functioning. Yeah. So let at least the brain be functioning, even if the body is not functioning. This is generally the prayer. So then the phala means what is the fruit of this is what is that one lives for a long time. And then that is what it is, because we need to know how to keep ourselves going. That's why we look at the life cycle of the turtle. How does it live for so long? Yeah. And so more we'll see tomorrow. We'll stop here for a little break, 15-minute break. Don't go away, because after this we are entering a very nice section of Bodhasara. Bodhasara is the text that we have been studying twice a month. And here we are entering a section of how the sages look at the stories of Rama and Krishna. How do they understand the stories? And how can we also understand the stories of Rama and Krishna according to how the sages are looking at that? So don't go away. We'll come back in about 15 minutes. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. We will do a small arati. Show them Bhagavan in that, okay? Yeah, we'll do a small arati, so you can be present for that, and then we will break for about 15 minutes. Are you logged on? Yeah. I'm just joining. Yeah. Log yourself on so they can see Bhagavan. Yeah, please offer. Did you make them? They look lovely. Thank you. Are you on? Yes. Okay, where? Let me see. I don't see you yet. I don't see you.
Should I say something?
I hear you talking there, but I don't see you.
Isn't this me? Yeah, this is me.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the Mukambika Mahadeva shrine. Yes, please do. ॐ सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये नारायणि नमोऽस्तुते। महादेवाय धीमहि विद्महे चक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि प्रचोदयात्। Yeah, can you push? Yeah, there we go. देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। Turn it around. ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चन्द्रतारः हेमा विद्युतो भान्तितो यमग्निः तमेव भान्तं विभाति सर्वं तस्य भातं सर्वं विभाति। हर हर नमः पार्वतीपतये हर महादेव। Thank you. Okay, we'll take a short break and we'll be back. 15 minutes. Om. They can keep looking at this thing. Turn off the volume. here is a question from the class. If we don't look upon suicide favorably, how do we look upon euthanasia, death with dignity, etc.? That is okay because that's how the sadhu goes. The sadhu who understands my life is complete. Even though I may not be 100 years old, the sadhu thinks, okay, I know that my life is complete right now. Are you? My lifespan is over. They know that. And then they enter into a cave and give up food and then just go. Swami Raghavendra, very, very celebrated saint in South India, in Karnataka, knew his end was near. He was having a few things, wrong with his body, and he knew that his end was near. And he didn't tell this to people, but then he asked everybody to bring one brick. Can you donate a brick? And they all were joyous. They thought, oh, Swamiji is building a new temple or something. So they all came with their bricks. And then he just wanted himself alive and entombed. And for some time, so that they would get used to it, he left one brick empty. And he would take a few morsels of food or drink through that particular opening. And after that, that brick was also sealed in. And then everybody was just upset. And then a devotee from far away, he had some kind of travel disruptions. And so he could not come on time to have darshan of the Swami. And he was so distraught. And he came and near the brick tomb, he stood in front of it and cried. And he said, you have gone away and without even giving me darshan. How could you do this? And how on earth could you do this? And he cried, and then finally he chanted the mantra which the Swami had given him. And Swami chanted the mantra back from inside the tomb 4 or 5 times. And so then he was happy that he had been given an audience. So like that. So that is allowed because one has kind of an informed idea. One is informed, and it's an informed choice. Yeah. Especially when there is something. Yeah, in some states it's allowed, Massachusetts, Oregon, places like that. Yes, because it has to be established. It's that it's not homicide, it is not suicide. It is the situation is so bad that it is not viable, and it's going to get even worse. There is no cure. Then it is allowed. And same things. This is what the dogs and cats do too in the wild before they got domesticated. They go in under a bush or in a cave and give up their life.